Pay attention to what people criticize about you, because more often than not, therein lies your power. Hello, beautiful people. My name is Nyawara Ndambia. Karibu sana to my channel. So, growing up, there are things I used to be told about myself. Given granted, I didn't see me until I saw me, right? So the things I used to be told about myself, but the way those things were presented to me were more so as critiques rather than abilities or qualities that I actually possessed. Okay, so I remember hearing things that like, oh, nakwanga sensitive, oh, nakwanga emotional, oh, nakwanga this, you're like this and that and this and the other. And I remember as I started to awaken to myself and start questioning, I started to ask myself, by the way, these things I'm always told, I'm like this, I'm like that, what do they actually mean? And I remember the first time a few years back Googling and just wanting to know what is the definition of sensitivity, right? So sensitivity is a quality or condition of having or displaying a quick and delicate appreciation of others' feelings. The quality or condition of having or displaying a quick and delicate appreciation of other people's feelings. Now, does that sound as a critic or as a superpower? Only to come and find out, oh, nakwanga emotional is more so my empathy. And empathy, by definition, is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Do you know what a power that is? That you can be able to even feel somebody's emotions and be able to understand them. That's depth, my guy, depth. So I came to realize later on that these things that I was being told as critiques were actually qualities that I possessed, and they were superpowers. Of course, granted, with balance, okay? So that really made me reflect. And I came to realize in some of the relationships that I had, I used to project my shine or my power to other people. So for example, I remember having relation with this person, and I used to see them as super smart. They were so alert and attentive. Yet they were just those people who knew what they were talking about. And also, like, we would enter a space, the people who were alert, they know where the exits are, they know if something what, like, you know. And it's not to say that they didn't have these qualities, but it's more so I put them on a pedestal in the sense that I saw these qualities as something that they had and I didn't. You get me? And I remember this person was so quick to highlight my mistakes or my wrongs, but they weren't as quick, or it was very rare for them to highlight what I did right, okay? So, and I actually remember situations where they used to take credit of things that I would say. So in that situation, I remember I was at a point where I wasn't very confident about myself or what I knew, right? So I would express something in a low tone. Say we're in a gathering, I would express it in a low tone, only for them to amplify it in a higher tone, and then that wisdom would reflect on them. You know what I mean? So ikafika point where I was like, hey, by the way, this relationship is making me, first of all, I don't feel safe here. I feel very insecure most of the time. And granted, there were good times, right? But I was also starting to now wake up to these spaces I'm in, these people I'm spending time with, how do they make me feel? Who am I? What kind of a person am I when I'm around them? So I noticed I was very deep in my insecurities. I didn't always like to have my voice heard for fear of saying the wrong thing, you know. Only for them in the end, now as I awoke to this and I was like, I made the decision, this is not a space for me, so I'm leaving. Only for them to come back and try to empower me through words of affirmation. And they were empowering me at that time because they were in a bind and they knew or sought me out for answers. So you're trying to empower me in order for you to take from me. But when, like, you get me? So I was like, hey, so all this time you saw my power, but you just used to take from a space of taking away from me. And the only time you were ready to give or pour into me was so that you could also receive from me. And I was like, hey, yo, wanted to exit here, exit. So that's what I did. I exited and I'm so happy and glad. Actually, also, let me say, I'm really grateful for the version of me that existed at these times that I'm going to be sharing here, and also the versions of these people who existed at that time that I had the relations with them, because them being who they were and me being that version of me that I was led me to me being here, where I'm actually proud of who I am. And I hope wherever they are, they've worked through what they needed to work through also to be proud of who they are. Anyway, another situation was, sometimes it takes you not seeing to get to a point where you want to see and then working it out to be able to see. Anyway, so there was this other person I had relations with, and I remember they used to first of all, I came to realize this person, even when I was with them, it's like they didn't believe that I was with them, or they didn't think they were worthy of being with me. In that, I mean, yes, they used to highlight my qualities and everything, but I also recognized the pattern where the things that they really liked about me also made them insecure. Okay, so I remember like us going out or something like that, whenever we were around other people, they would make themselves smaller. Okay, so for example, let's say we are at a party or like at a club or like a hangout or something of the sort. So when we enter the space, we are together, we're just chatting, it's cool vibes, we're enjoying ourselves. But then whenever another third party entered the conversation, or somebody else approached me who knew me through one way or another, they would make themselves small. So they would like almost deflate, right, and recoil back to themselves. And then what that did was it made me concerned, because I'm like, hey, ulikuwa sawa tu sahi, so are you okay? You seem low, what's going on? Yada. And I realized in this situation, because I had already grown to some extent, right, I realized this is a situation where I used to make myself smaller in order to make other people comfortable. And that's how, having gone through those experiences that I was like that, that's how I was able to also recognize the patterns with this person. Oh, there's a bird on my window. Hi, birdie. Hi. Wow. Okay. Oh yeah. So, and this used to happen mostly when we were around other people, or when I would garner attention from other people, then they'd be like making themselves small, and then I'd be there like, wagwan, uko sawa, nini mendelea. So I recognized this, and I was aware that I didn't want to go back to that place where, not because you're uncomfortable. First of all, I recognize that their discomfort had everything to do with them and not me. Okay, so, and I was like, I'm not going to be in a space where or return back to a space where I'm making myself smaller just to make you comfortable. If you already are not comfortable with who you are or who I am or this situation, hata nijitengeneze nikuwe mudogo aje bro, it will never be enough. So I was like, hey, this is not the situation for me, let me choose me. And that's what I did. Okay. And then another situation. Hey, yo, every time I say another situation, I'm like, hey, these situations are coming. But they're also really beautiful learning curves because hey, they've contributed to who I am right now, and I'm grateful. So another situation I was in is I recognized when, how can I say this? When actions don't align with words. Okay, so there's this person I had relations with, right? And they found me when I was knee deep in my self-reflection, uncovering the wisdom within me and all these things. And I realized the pattern of our conversations were more so me sharing what I had learned, you know, or the breakthroughs that I had, which there's nothing wrong with that. But our conversations were very one-sided, you know what I mean? And I also realized they had put me on a pedestal where they sought me for answers, and it almost got to a point where I felt like we were in a cycle where I was doing their inner work for them as well. Does that make sense? Yeah, so it got to a point where I was like, by the way, when I realized sometimes people also need the space to be able to get to the answers by themselves, because you can give, but are you giving from a space that's taken away from you or from a space that's pouring back into you? Okay. And I remember this person, so once I actually told them like, hey, I'm feeling like it's like a tick type of situation, and I felt called to like stop sharing so much about all the breakthroughs I was going through, because one, it felt najua kuongea guys, I promise. It felt like it was starting to take away from me. And then also I was like, hata wewe fanya your inner work, you know, hata wewe come to the realizations for yourself, for your journey and all these things, okay? Because I'm in my process, and yeah, my process is my process and yours is yours, okay? And then also I remember them being, so now I stopped oversharing, because I felt I was oversharing, so I stopped oversharing. And then I saw like the dynamics of the situation changed, and I remember just observing and them being very loud to other people but not loud in their actions towards me. So it would be situations like, he'd be like, oh, I was out with my friends and I was telling them, wow, what a person you are and all these things. And I would just observe this person telling me these things, or them telling me, oh, I was out and I met these random people and I was just telling them how I love and appreciate you and all these things. And I was like, okay, granted, you're very loud, or the way you're communicating this to me is you're very loud to other people aside me, you know, like mtu anakuja kwambia hata leo nikamwambia na nini na nini vile wewe ni mnoma, but wewe hakuonyeshi through the actions vile wewe ni mnoma. So yeah, so that's another thing. And I remember seeing someone online said, when you look at the people around you, do you want to be more like them, or do you want them to be more like you? And therein lies the answer of what you need to do moving forward. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you on my next video. Also, pay attention to your power. and claim back who you are.